Hey, how's it going? This is Josh. I'm with Smart Pest Pros. We're at a house in Oakland. Just want to kind of go over what you'll be seeing on a really bad house and what we do to address the problem. So here we have a house. This has some real major issues in terms of conducive conditions. This is a vacant house, so it kind of looks like they've been started on some of the construction, and obviously have some pretty big issues for rodents. So some of the things we look for when we're doing an inspection is a moisture source. Now this water's been sitting for a long time, so it may not actually be a good moisture source for them. They actually prefer fresh water and fresh food when possible. For rats, mice actually can go without water. They can just survive off the water and food. So we don't pay too much attention to a water source for mice. So I'll start over here on the side. We've already started doing some of the work. So this is a real big issue, big pipe penetration and a gap in the siding. We try to the best of our ability to use screening when possible. Sometimes we have to use some other methods. They're gonna go in here and add some mortar around where we put the screening around the pipes, just for some added stability on that screen. Now going up here, this is a wood siding house. Got a lot of potential issues with a pipe right there. They're gonna put a temporary sill on that just to make sure if there's any way that they can get into the attic from there, they're not gonna be able to. This was a crawl space entrance that we screened off because there's actually two other entrances. Normally, if this was the only entrance and it was deteriorated, which this one was, we would rebuild a crawl space door. But in this case, we actually just screened it off. So under the deck, this is another thing we look for. These decks will cause a lot of issues. A lot of times there's issues with burrowing, and so we have to address that as its own separate thing. There's a crawl space door inside there that we still have to do a little bit of work on. Right here in the corner, that was an issue. You can actually see, it's hard to see, but there's a little bit of gnawing right there on the wood. It looks like to me, and a little bit of rub. So the rub is this dark stuff here. It doesn't look like this is a real active spot right now. Maybe it was at one time. The rub is from oils on their body that they leave behind on wood, stucco, and wherever they come across. It's called sebum. It's the same thing that pretty much all mammals have. It's a natural oil that's produced. With rats, even with squirrels, and any mammal, you're gonna get that, but you'll definitely see it with rats. That's one of the main things to look for apart from gnawing and droppings. Now this is real heavy rub right there. All that dark black stuff, that's rub marks. Now this appears to be coming from squirrels to me, because there's heavy gnawing on the wood siding, and I don't see an entry point anywhere. So a lot of times squirrels will get up there and just kind of hang out the gnaw on the wood, and you'll see real heavy rub marks like that. We had a pipe penetration, another one, so we ended up screening that off. We use a combination of different methods to seal off holes. Our primary is using 1/4-inch galvanized mesh that will not rust for a very long period of time. And we prefer to screw it in or anchor it in somehow possible. Sometimes we need to glue it. Sometimes we need to add some foam. Like I said, there's different methods to be able to seal it. So this is another big gap, and they're probably gonna go in with some mortar and finish that up. This is another crawl space entrance right here. So see, this is the other one, that the original one kind of looked like this, but it was really heavily deteriorated. So we just added screening on the back of that to make it look nice and clean. And then when it sits in there, it's gonna be nice. I think we're gonna add a little bit of flashing right here in the corner, because that will be an entry point for them. A rat only needs a 1/2 inch gap to be able to get in. In fact, if it's smaller and they're able to chew it open, they can get in an even smaller gap. So we go 1/4 inch and less because 1/4 inch is for a mouse. So basically the rule of thumb is if you can put your thumb in, a rat can get in. If you can put your pinky in, a mouse can get in. Another pipe penetration here. This one was a vent, kind of an unusual way that we seal it, but this was actually the only way we could because of the metal back there. Here's a trusty crew, guys, taking a break. So we got a big gap here, and that's an unusual gap. We're probably going to use either screening or flashing to seal that up, maybe mortar, I'm not sure. And another gap on the other side. Then we have a gap here next to the porch that we're going to seal up. This one doesn't appear to actually be an entry point, but we want to take care of it preventatively. And then going to the other side, we have a really big hole here. Now, one of the things, again, that we look for are gnaw marks. So it's kind of hard to see here, but right here, it looks like they've been chewing this open to be able to get in. Could be from something else, because I'm not really seeing rub marks, so it may not necessarily be from rodents. Sometimes when we look at things, it's a little hard to determine if it is from rodents or, you know, some previous work that's been done or whatever, but I would not be surprised if that's rodents creating that issue. Little tiny gap up here that we're gonna seal with mortar. Again, we like to do preventative work as well as actually sealing up the entry points, because what we've found over time is if you just do the entry points and you don't take care of the preventative stuff, they will figure out a way to chew through areas and get out, because they get really, really desperate once you seal up the entry points. So this is a primary entry point here. This is what we call a highway. So you could see a ton of rub right there. I'm gonna zoom in. You see that? That's a hole in the siding. I don't know if that was just a small hole from dry rot or something else that was made bigger by the rodents or what the issue is, but for sure rodents are getting in right through there. More than likely rats, could be squirrels, it could be both. That is a big enough hole for squirrels. It's hard to tell from the video, but that hole is almost an inch, which is what you need for squirrels, 1/2 inch again for rats. So that's a huge highway right there that we're gonna seal up. And then here we have these weird foundation vents we don't normally see on houses, but this is an old house in Oakland. They have some unusual construction methods. So these are boarded up. We're obviously gonna recommend that these get opened up to increase the ventilation, because right now there's no ventilation there. But for now, we're just gonna add some screening to the outside of that just to prevent them from chewing through the wood, depending on how thick that board is. Here's another foundation vent. We're gonna do the same thing there, seal that from the inside. And then this is the last real big issue here. This is, it's a cutout that they've made for the plumbing, and there probably was at one time siding right in here that has fallen off over the years, and it looks like either a previous company or someone came in and added screening here and some foam right here. To the best of our ability, we try not to do it that way, because that foam, one, it doesn't look very good, and two, it won't hold very good. So what will happen is the rodents will come in here and they'll chew at the edges of the foam, and they can actually push this screening out if it's not anchored in properly. So this one, more than likely, we're gonna add some mortar to with some screening. like I said, there's a couple different ways to seal up the issues, so there might be a different way we're going to attack it. That's pretty much it. This, we're also going to seal at the top of this because that could be an issue as well. I don't know where that goes, if it goes to sewage or not, but we don't like to see open pipes like that. We'll put some screening on the inside there or on the outside just to prevent them from going in and out. More than likely that might go to the street, and if it does, there's a potential issue for them to come up through there. They can come up through a fairly large pipe. I believe it's 4 inches diameter on the inside. So that's it. If you're looking for someone to come out and take care of rodent issues, check out our website, smartpestpros.com.